Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. My name is Andrew Philly, and if this is your first time here, welcome to my Midwinter Cut series, where I started out at 213 pounds. I'm working my way all the way down to 180. Now along the way, each week I'm trying something different to see what works, what does not, and I give my best recommendation at the end of the week. Last week you guys asked me to try vegan, so that is what we're gonna do. I'm normally a meat eater, for the record, for everyone watching. To track my progress, I start the week out with initial measurements. This is gonna be a weigh-in. I'm going to measure my waist, and then I'm going to do a 360 physique check-in. At the end of the week, we're going to do the exact same thing, and we're going to see how much forward progress I made. So what are the rules of being vegan? Well, first and foremost, there's no meat. That includes poultry, beef, fish, all off limits. On top of that, so is dairy, and so are even eggs, which I think is insane. Eggs are an amazing source of protein and all kinds of fats, and the hen does not care if the rooster fertilizes the egg or not. It's going to be laying eggs no matter what. So eating the egg, there's no opportunity cost to the hen. Now, as far as the vegan diet goes, it is workable. There are ways that you can make it work. In my opinion, it's not ideal, but I'm not here to tell everybody what to do. If I am going to do vegan, I'm going to show you guys how I would do it to make sure that I make the most out of my nutrition and stay healthy and keep getting my macronutrients and my micronutrients so that I can accomplish my goals. One of the reasons I do eat beef is because beef has all of the essential amino acids for a complete protein. On top of that, it also has every single B vitamin, and it has most minerals. And the minerals you don't get from beef, you can supplement with fish, cover all your bases, and you're very good to go in tip-top shape. It's not impossible to do this with vegan, but it does require a little bit of extra effort. You have to understand what you're eating very specifically, because not any one vegetable has everything you need, especially when you diverge into grains and also nuts. But if you make a combination of all of these things, it can work. Now later on in this video, I'm going to break down some of the things that you need to be aware of as far as amino acids and also general supplementation. But here's the basic gist, just right off in the intro. Vegetables don't have the best ratio of amino acids. Now let me break this down in as simple way as possible. Let's say you're building a bicycle and you have all these different parts in your bill of material. Let's say your bicycle needs 2 tires. If you've only got 1 tire but 4 pedals, you can't make 2 bikes. You can't even make 1 bike because you've only got 1 tire and it takes 2 tires to make that bike. Now, let's say you were to double your raw materials and now you've got 2 tires, you've got 8 bike pedals. Well, you don't need the other 6 bike pedals. And this is how the inefficiency of the vegan diet comes into play, because your amino acid profiles on a lot of the vegetables you eat are very high in certain amino acids and very low in others. Later on in the video, when I have the opportunity to go to my computer, I'll show you guys these things in greater detail. Furthermore, there's not a single vegetable, grain, or nut on planet Earth that has vitamin B12, which is cobalamin. If you do not supplement this, you will eventually become cobalamin deficient, and cobalamin is responsible for the creation of new red blood cells. If you're going to be vegan, you've got to supplement for B12. Now that we've got that out of the way, I'm going to show you guys my initial weigh-in. After that, I'm going to take you guys to Costco. I'll show you what foods I'm buying for this week. I'm going to be preparing that. I like to eat consistent meals, so it's going to be the same meals every day. Unlike my previous videos, I am going to allow myself to flavor them to make them more enjoyable than eating things that are plain, like jerky or ground beef or Spam. So this should be an easier diet to stick to than before, but at the same time, it is lacking meat, so it is still going to be a challenge for me. With that, let's go take these measurements and I'll show you guys how the week unfolds. So I just got to Costco. We're going to be doing the grocery shop. What's really important if you're going to be doing vegan, it's nutrition on hard mode. Reason being is when you have meat, anytime you eat meat, you're getting complete protein that comes automatically. But with the vegan diet, that's not the case. So when you look at nutrition labels, what you're going to see, especially with the grams of protein, is let's just say you've got 4 grams of protein in a serving of vegetables, right? That's not actually 4 grams of protein, that's 4 grams of amino acids. And if you don't have all the essential amino acids, you don't have a complete protein. So what I'm going to be doing here today, I already know up front combinations that make complete protein, specifically green peas and brown rice, a very good combo for that. In addition to that, I'll also be getting some nuts and also some seeds so that I can get my fats in. I really don't like oils, and that's going to be consistent even for this week. Instead of having things like coconut oil or olive oil, I'm going to get my fats from nuts, and I'm going to stay oil-free all week. So let's start out. Let's go grab the peas and the rice. The green peas are at $10 a bag for 5 pounds. Not too bad. I'm going to grab maybe 3 or 4 just to make sure I don't run out through the week. You can see here we've got 70 calories per serving at 27 servings per container. Let's just round that up to 30. That's 2,100 calories per bag. 4 grams of protein per serving. Remember I said about those amino acids. We still need to get the complete protein, but if we mix in the brown rice, we should be good to go. So to cover the nuts category, I'm going to be going with these Kirkland Signature Whole Almonds right here. So this right here is going to give me my fats for the week. As you can see, you can't really see it too good, but there's 14 grams of fat per serving. All I need is 2 or 3 handfuls of these a day, and I'll be good to go. So I'm doing almonds for my fat source, but just to keep my bases well rounded, I'm also going to be getting pumpkin seeds. Organic pumpkin seeds. Nice thing about this, it helps get that fat requirement, but if you see the protein's pretty high, it has a lot of amino acids in it, and it has amino acids with a different profile than what you're getting from the peas and even in the rice. So this is the good stuff right here. Get some kimchi. Kimchi is very nice for your gut bacteria. It's gonna be something I have a couple spoonfuls of every day on top of my meals. It's a very good addition. Glad I ran by this because I otherwise would have forgotten to grab it. All right, so this thing I'm about to grab is super important. If you're going to do vegan dieting, this is actually mandatory, not optional. You have to have this. It's going to be vitamin B12 cobalamin. So check this out. You got 500 micrograms of methylcobalamin. Now you're going to see other kinds out there, most specifically cyanocobalamin. That's not the one you want. You want this one. This is more bioavailable, which means you're going to absorb it better. Now, in any case, you're going to absorb cobalamin best from meat, but if you're going to do vegan, this is as good as it gets. If you are vegan, I'll throw a link in Amazon that you can use on your own to get as much of it as you need. Okay, unfortunately, there's no brown rice at Costco. I think that's so weird, but whatever. I'm going to go to Kroger. I'm going to grab brown rice there, and that's going to be it for the week. As an extra, just so I don't lose my mind this week, I did grab a little bit of soy sauce. I don't usually like having soy in my diet, but a small amount of soy sauce isn't going to hurt anything. Plus, this brand in particular, it's so delicious. If you see this at Costco, it's so good. You may as well just grab a bottle, and it lasts a long time. But with that, I'm going to get out of here. We're going to pick up some brown rice at Kroger. Can't believe Costco doesn't have it. All right, been eating this all week. Got green peas and brown rice. Let's talk about amino acids. Class is in session. Proteins are made up of a ton of different amino acids, but the ones we care about are called essential amino acids. They're called essential because your body can't produce them on its own. It has to come from food. There's 9 of them. I'm gonna put them up either here or here. These are the 9 essential amino acids. The nice thing about green peas, it's actually very, very high in the most important building blocks of protein, which is going to be lysine and leucine. It's a majority of your protein. However, let's think back in my original analogy when I opened the video about, building a bicycle or building a car. You might have all the parts that you need, but if you can't get a steering wheel or a handlebar on your vehicle, it's useless. You can't use it. I'm going to expand the graphic and you'll see on the screen, green peas, very, very low in methionine. It might be very good in leucine, lysine, but because the methionine is so low, green peas on their own, it's not going to get converted into a synthesized protein very well. That's why we combo it up with the brown rice. So if you look here on the brown rice, the ratios are much higher. Now, I know this is a lot to look at. I put the ideal ratio here. And by the way, the reason I'm doing this on Excel is because I'm not a legal expert. I'm not sure what I can legally show you guys. If you go on Google Image, you can find these graphs yourself, and they're going to look a lot more pretty. And there's hundreds of them. So if you look at a few of them, you've seen them all. So as far as the ratios go, leucine and lysine, kind of think about having 2 of those for every one of all the other ones. The exception for that might be tryptophan. Tryptophan is pretty low, and that's not a problem. You can have low tryptophan, as you'll see here. But if we look at the green peas, leucine and lysine are pretty high, and they're also pretty comparable, very close to 1-to-1. But then methionine is only 10%, so that's a big problem. If we combo it up with brown rice, you can see that similar leucine, a little bit less lysine, but look at the methionine ratios. Methionine to leucine is a 1/3 ratio in brown rice, 33%. That's 3 times better than what you're getting out of the peas. So if you combine the two, you've got more complete protein. Now, full disclosure, if you're eating meat, you're getting complete proteins every single time you eat, and the ratios are more ideal. But if you're gonna do vegan, it is still possible. You're not gonna get 100% there, but this is actually pretty close to workable. In my opinion, you're getting a lot of carbohydrates on top of your protein, which makes it kind of inefficient. This right here is, in my opinion, one of the best ways to do it. You just combine the right vegetables. Now, unfortunately, this does mean you're gonna have to go online, find out what amino acid profiles are on a bunch of different foods, and try to pair them up so that you know what you can have. Maybe write it down. But for me, the rice and peas has been working all week. Under like a normal diet, I would actually have something very similar to this. I would just put a little bit of ground beef, salmon, or chicken in there. We're going vegan, we're skipping the meat for this week. So I wouldn't necessarily eat this way if I really wanted to pack on a lot of muscle. But if you're cutting weight and you're already satisfied with your muscle mass, this isn't the worst. It's not the worst. I could see this working for people. If there's a reason that you really have to be vegan, I'm not here to tell people how to live. If you want to do it, do it. I eat meat, but I'm not going to tell you guys that you have to eat meat. Oh, you really should, but not pictured in here. I ate the nuts while I was cooking these. I normally like to put the nuts in there so I can have it all in one go, but I was kind of snacking in the kitchen while cooking, so that's why they're not in the bowl. But pumpkin seeds, the almonds, the rice, the peas, you've got a pretty complete nutrient profile in that. Next time I see you guys, I'll tell you all about vitamin B12, why it's important, why you need it, and why you really need to supplement it if you're gonna do vegan. If you eat meat, you're already getting B12, so don't worry about that. All right, let's talk about B12, cobalamin. The reason you need it so much, it's responsible for the creation of red blood cells. On top of that, cobalamin is also going to help out with things like nerve endings, creation of new DNA strands. Any secondary benefit that you get to your blood cells, cobalamin is going to have some involvement in it. That's why it's so deeply important. In my opinion, it's the most important of all the B vitamins. But it's also the B vitamin that's not in plants. There are no plants that you can eat to get vitamin B12. Now, in today's society, a lot of processed foods are going to have B12 supplemented into them, especially if they're advertised as vegan. But the absorption on this synthetic version of the vitamin, it's just not as digestible as getting it from the real deal, which would be from meat and fish. But if you're going to do it, my recommendation, I would choose methylcobalamin. There's two major ones, methylcobalamin, cyanocobalamin. There's a few fringe ones out there as well that you'll see. The common theme is they're all going to have the word cobalamin at the end of them. Now, these compounds are synthetic, which means they're combined with other existing elements to create them. So, I'm going to cross the street here. In the case of cyanocobalamin, they're mixing that with cyanide. Cyanide is known to be a very lethal poison. Now, that doesn't inherently mean that it's going to be dangerous. Once you synthesize it into a compound, a lot of these lethal properties go away. That being said, I still just don't like the idea of having that as a staple in my diet. Methylcobalamin comes from methane, a much more safe compound, and it also absorbs much better than its cyanocobalamin alternative. But no matter what, if you're going to be doing vegan, you really need to have B12. It's so important. Over a long enough time span, if you don't have cobalamin coming in, you're going to become anemic, you're going to feel things like fatigue, overall general weakness, weight loss, but not in the right way. You'd be losing a lot of muscle mass. For that reason, I'm not that big on the vegan diet, but it is doable, it is workable if you can make sure you're getting your vitamins properly. As far as the rest of the vitamins go, zinc, magnesium, potassium, you're getting all of these in spades when you have nuts, so I wouldn't be worried about that. Just make sure, if you really are going to do vegan, you got to get that B12 in you. So from here, I'm on the last day. It's Sunday. Going to be wrapping things up here. I did have one cheat meal yesterday. I was out with friends in the restaurant we were at. Didn't have vegan options, so I went off the vegan for one meal. Going to be mixing things up starting on next week. I'll address why that is in the wrap-up piece. For now, it's time for me to head home. All right, here we are. We're at the end of the week check-in. So as you're about to see, I didn't necessarily lose any weight this week, and I also didn't lose any inches off the waist. I expected this going into it, and the reason for that was prior to this, I was on ketogenic / carnivore, and now I'm switching to vegan, which is going to be a lot higher in the carbohydrates. I'm now holding a lot of extra water due to glycogen and in general having more fiber in the diet. This also leads to the reason why I didn't lose inches off the waistline is because switching from keto, where you have zero gas, to a vegetable-based diet where you start having a lot of gas, that's going to inevitably add inches to the waistline. It doesn't necessarily mean that's body fat, but it is something to consider. If you want to have a leaner waist, extra high fiber is going to lead to a lot more bloating and things of that nature, so that's why I didn't lose inches off the waist this week. I have noticed improvements in my upper body and in my legs. I'm starting to see definition in muscles that I wasn't prior, so I still do think I lost body fat percentage this week. It just didn't show on the scale or on the tape measure. So for next week, what I'm going to do, I still have a lot of leftover vegetables. Instead of going into a specific challenge, what I'm going to do is show you guys a few very good basic meals that you can have throughout the week. They're going to be highly nutritious. This is going to be a mix of meat and vegetables, so it's not going to be carnivore or vegan, but it's going to be a very well-balanced diet. And this would work for anybody that's willing to branch out and try a few different things and not stick to any one dogma. After that, we're going to be going into an all week of fish. Let me know what you guys would like to see going forward. Do you want me to keep doing carnivore videos, or do you like seeing things like me trying out vegan, doing different things, branching out? I want to hear from you guys so I know how to best serve you. Go ahead and like the video and also subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And with that, guys, I'm going to see you in the next one. Peace.